Buenos dias. I am Jessica Kustra. I currently teach Spanish at Central Park and Sieber Elementary. I am a K-12 certified Spanish teacher and speech theater. After high school, I went to Saginaw Valley State University to receive my undergraduate in Spanish education. I spent a semester in Spain to practice the language and learn the culture. It was an experience that pushed me to challenge myself and step out of my comfort zone, an opportunity that I've always treasured. After graduation, I worked with Carleton Public Schools in a share time program. I began my time with Midland Public Schools in the start of the 2016-17 school year. I like to say I began my work at Central Park before the building was here. My first year at East Lawn felt like an extension of my time at Central Park and paved the way for beginning to learn the special characteristics of the student population within a Title I school. Between the two districts and 11 different schools I have taught at, I have seen a wide variety of students, families, and staffs. From the rural schools that raised me, the parochial schools that introduced me to teaching, to the suburban schools that I work in today, I have had a unique experience of diversity in education. During the pandemic, I passionately wanted to help teachers and decided to return to school for my master's degree in curriculum and instruction through Central Michigan University. After graduation in December of 2022, I began looking for ways to advance myself in a position to help teachers be successful and make a difference with our students. While working towards those areas, I myself have grown a lot as a teacher, incorporating more play-based teaching with my youngest students, continuing RISE training to develop a better understanding of myself and my students, assisting in scheduling auxiliary classes, helping organize and build a curriculum for our 4 language and culture class, working with PYP coordinators to build more vocabulary and agency into the work my students create, and even leading some of our auxiliary professional development sessions. In my time as a teacher, I have seen how important the role of administration plays within our schools and within our community. They set the culture of the school they work at by guiding teachers and providing the support they need for students to be successful. They bring resources to families that no other profession can. When I first started my journey as a teacher, I would have never expected to leave the classroom. But as I have grown and watched my own children start their school journeys, I've seen just how important it is to have a supportive, communicative, and respectful administrative team that builds up our teachers, supports our students, and strengthens the families in our building. Looking at our data, Central Park has some important strengths to demonstrate. In comparing Central Park to the state averages in ELA and math, we are right on par with the percentage of students around the state at or above proficiency. Given that we are a Title I school with a larger population of economically disadvantaged students, this is a strength. When comparing Central Park to other schools of comparable student populations, we exceed the average of those populations. It is important to look at these numbers comparing similar populations because economically disadvantaged students do face challenges unlike students that are not economically disadvantaged. If we are looking at math alone, last year we were almost 15% higher than schools of similar populations, and even more when compared to the state average. To see our students be the most successful given their personal hardships shows just how much work our teachers and support staff are putting into our students day in and day out. Another strength we can see in the data is positive growth year to year for the past 3 years. While we can see Central Park is at the bottom of our chart in comparing the elementary buildings within the district, they have also made some of the most growth. The only 2 buildings that have sustained growth over the past 3 years are Sieber and Central Park, with all other buildings staying the same or making a slight decline. This is another testament to the work of our staff. The third strength I would like to note today is a positive dip in chronic absenteeism. During the pandemic, many schools saw huge upticks in chronic absenteeism, so much so that according to the U.S. Department of Education, the average for the U.S. in the 2021-22 school year was 31%. During the pandemic, we can see that Central Park remained much lower than this, with a large spike in 2022-23 school year when schools went back to more normal programming. While there was a large spike, Central Park has begun what we hope is a downward trend in chronic absenteeism. With incentive programs, phone calls home, more information on the effects of chronic absenteeism, and continued effort among the entire team, this trend will continue. These are a few of the many strengths I see at Central Park on a daily basis. Being within the school provides unique insight into the things that would benefit students and staff on a regular basis. Central Park has some important areas for improvement to note. Our data shows that we have areas for growth across the board in comparison to the other elementary buildings in our district. Although, as noted, we have been seeing steady growth over the past few years. This chart demonstrates scores across the district in each of the 4 areas tested on MSTEP. We can see, as with many of our elementary schools, scores in social studies remain very low. This is a trend not only in our schools, but within the state. Our scores in ELA, science, and social studies remain the lowest across the district. In ELA specifically, we are at the bottom of our district for the 2023-24 school year. I know that our current Mossflower training for reading will continue in the next few years. Many teachers have expressed that the resources provided are helpful, and working with their coach has been a valuable way to get more information while also enjoying being able to see lessons in person. As a district, our literacy specialists continue to help guide teachers on the best ways to help students within the classroom. I believe that the district's investment in this area will continue to help students be more successful. Central Park also has support with paras that work individually and in small groups to build reading and writing skills with our lowest students. This support helps foster improved transferable skills. I know programs we implement within the building, like One Book, One School, take-home reading packets, and our literacy-focused title nights, will continue to encourage parents by providing the appropriate support for our students' literacy skills to continue to grow at home. This is an important area that we cannot neglect, as we know that reading and writing skills start at an early age and build when supported at home as well as within the school. We also have the largest percentage of chronically absent students in the district. While Central Park has seen what we hope is the start of a downward trend, the continued efforts of our staff can sometimes feel arduous with little reward. The programs we are currently implementing encourage students to come to school. I know my own daughter asks me how she can win the random attendance drawing almost every day. We are even trying to encourage parents by providing incentives for them during important times like Count Week, providing meals that are after school activities to provide more parental education, attendance phone calls as reminders, and continuing to educate the best we can on why being in school is so important. This is probably one of the biggest concerns among our staff because of the drastic impact it makes on the success of our students. We cannot neglect the importance of community support in helping students get to and stay in school. I'm hopeful that the court system will begin providing more support at the elementary level because of the translation of habits started at a young age to middle and high school attendance rates. I also know that the community connections and resources being provided within the school will help make sure students are getting their daily needs met, as well as encouraging them to come to school because the resources are there. These are a few important areas of improvement I see at Central Park. One strategy that would help with improving our scores in state testing and building literacy skills that are essential in a digital and global world would be developing a media literacy or STEM auxiliary class at the K-5 level. Many schools in the surrounding areas provide courses like this for the development of technology skills that are difficult to teach within the classroom, but are essential to the success of students in many different classroom activities. Studies have shown that while technology continues to advance, many teachers are finding it more difficult to teach students the skills they need and include technology skills. I see every day the frustrations of students with not having basic typing skills, digital media creation skills, and research skills needed to complete tasks like research about a Spanish-speaking country. I also see teachers that would love to provide students the time to build these skills, but find that they don't have the time to teach the skills. And if time is provided to use things like typing.com or practice research skills, students will instead resort to playing games or browsing the internet for things unrelated to the research topic. I know that teachers at the lower elementary level could use more time to help students build their fine motor skills and hand-eye coordination for writing. I myself struggled to read the writing of even my oldest students because skills were not well developed or bad habits were formed at a younger age. This extra auxiliary class would have a more play-based approach to developing fine motor skills and hand-eye coordination at the younger levels and slowly incorporate technology skills and online safety as students advance through the program. I know my daughter worked this year on researching octopus and writing a short informational text about them. how much more impactful would it have been for her to not only work on the research during her homeroom class, but to go to her STEM media literacy class and use the library to find more information, listen to some books on Epic, be taught how to research and copy information down about her animal to then take back to class to write about it. A STEM class has the ability to be transdisciplinary in the way that we build the curriculum. It can easily connect to classroom units of inquiry, auxiliary class lessons on sports, arts, music, or Spanish project. The number of lessons I have taught on formatting a Google document or creating a Google slide could drastically be cut down. This class would also provide K-5 teachers more planning time each week. Dependent on scheduling, may also make collaborative time easier. As with any new system, there will be barriers like time into developing curriculum, scheduling, finding a space for these classes, hiring a team of teachers to provide this class, but the benefits could be well worth the efforts and seen for years to come. Now, for a little on championing student success. Teaching a world language can come with many challenges. I know the vast benefits of learning another language, but not all stakeholders do. Many times I'm left advocating for what I'm teaching with people who have no experience in language learning. One area that I'm constantly advocating for my class is with my students. Major stakeholders in the education world, my students regularly see little value in the things I'm teaching when we first get started. One way that I champion my class with students is by presenting them with a variety of ways that learning another language can help them now and in the future. Sometimes I just ask, why do you think we learn a different language? And even the youngest of ages, the answers they come up with can be the most motivating for themselves and their classmates when language learning gets to be tough. Parents can also be a sort of doubt when it comes to language learning. I've learned to start the year off with a visual on why it's important for students. When parents come to me with questions, I'm advocating for my class and reminding them that at this level, the steps are small, but there will be transferred to skills at the middle or high school level that will make language so much easier for them. There are also plenty of times I have to advocate for my class among my staff, especially when they want to pull students during my time for other specific skill building. It's important to remember that just because students cannot read or write in English does not mean they can't be successful in a world language class. I know that knowing the data about a situation and also relating to the emotion behind these frustrations helps provide connection and knowledge when championing my class to stakeholders. Another way that I've championed things that are good for students with my own colleagues was when I led a professional development on PYP portfolio submissions. I had been on my own journey to make sure that I was including submissions for PYP portfolios because our essential agreement said we should, but also because I knew that changing some of my projects to incorporate more PYP vocabulary would help my students understand the language and build the connections needed to unify whole school support. Upon my own work with the coordinators, I found that many auxiliary teachers were not including anything in portfolios. I suggested that I could lead a professional development session on how I went about it, show ways to incorporate PYP into their own area, and then provided dedicated time with each other and the coordinators to work on their own portfolio submission pieces. This PD was well received by the auxiliary staff, and many worked to make slight changes towards portfolio submission. These are just a few ways that I champion things important to students, but not always well received by stakeholders. I wanted to make sure that I thank you for your time. I hope I was able to provide you with a well-rounded look into Central Park from my perspective and give you insight into who I am. I look forward to the opportunity to speak with you in person on how I can be a leading force in continuing the culture of excellence at Central Park. Thank you.